being live.
Oh, hold on. Let's try this again.
He got up
Round two.
He forgave me and he hoped I could turn my life
We should be live here. A little bit of audio cost there. Okay, Chris, it's a little bit rough. I think we're here now. Can you see it on your end?
I cannot see us on our end.
Really?
Oh shit! Stuff might be happening. Oh, I got an ad.
I did it.
I got an ad.
Ads are good. It's on my end. It's looking good. I can see Joystick Guru's in there. My guys, he's saying we can see us. It's kind of a bit of a step. We're a bit rough with this here. It's been a bit, and we haven't been gone live.
There we
before.
go. We are. I can see it. I can see it.
Got it? All right, turn yourself down here. You want to introduce us now, Chris?
Yes, guys. Fuck it, let's do it live. Yeah, so guys, this is gonna be a little rough for multiple reasons. One, this is gonna be the first Virtual Boys podcast that we've ever done live, and Ryan and I are, not, I guess, super intelligent in the fact that we're also doing it while I am live on location in a hotel room. This should be possibly the last rotation that I'm out of town. Hence why my channel's been quiet and why we've waited the relaunch. So if you guys have never tuned into the podcast, welcome. This is the Virtual Boys podcast episode. I don't even know what episode.
59. We're on 59. I know it's been a minute, so it's kind of weird to keep track. We're on season 2, episode 1. We'll just do that, right?
So I guess since we're on the whole train of, if you've never caught us before, guys, as we said, this is episode 59. That means there's 58 episodes that were over on the Virtual Boys podcast channel, which I know things are a little bit confusing as everything's been moving around. So Shughead Gaming is going to become the VR Grid. Ryan's VR Grid, his original website, is going to be basically just a legacy channel for his old content. And the Virtual Boys podcast is going to be moving here full time now. So that channel will eventually be shut down. If you want access to those old episodes, you have two options basically. The easiest and cheapest option would be just go to your podcast provider and you can listen to all of them there. Everything from episode 1 up till episode 58. And the other option, I guess, if you want the video, at least for right now, will be to be a Patreon subscriber. We're going to give you guys access to that legacy channel basically. But otherwise, it will be shut down, and this will be the new home of Virtual Boys. I don't think we'll see any of those episodes show up here, those old episodes, just because it causes we can't just import videos, which really sucks with YouTube.
Yeah, so just to kind of clarify what Chris said, Chris's channel, Shughead Gaming, is now becoming the VR Grid, if you guys didn't catch that memo. And like I said, my channel is now a legacy channel. It's going to stay active, obviously, just because there is a ton of reviews to go back upon that, are still relevant. But for all intents and purposes, maybe minus one closing video, I'm still deciding if I'm going to do that or not. My channel is effectively dead because I've now moved over here to join forces with Chris. So I'm excited, man. We've been talking about this for quite a while, working on this behind the scenes for quite a while, and scheduling has been kind of a nightmare between both of us, with me being out of town and him being out of town. But we really wanted to pull the trigger on this and make it a go. So now we are a dynamic duo in every way, shape, and form in regards to the content we're putting out going forward. So I'm pretty pumped for that. Nothing's going to change in regards to, I shouldn't say nothing's going to change. I mean, we are working with formatting and whatnot, but we're still going to put out reviews and side-by-sides, and everything else we've done before in the past is still going to happen going forward. It's just now there's two of us working on it, not just each of us working on things individually, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, things are going to change, I think. But as far as you guys are concerned, I feel like it'll always be for the better. I mean, the first thing is going to be more content, because now Ryan and I can, instead of having to each cover all the same reviews, it allows us to kind of share reviews, which frees someone else up to do, Ryan and I had been talking about the fact that say a game I don't know, let's just throw one out, trying to think of something that didn't suck. Okay. I was gonna say Township Tale. I was like, no, let's not go there, Ryan. I don't want to trigger Ryan. um, but let's say something along the lines of Green Hell came out, right? It allows us to do the ideas that we would have a Green Hell review, a side-by-side comparison for those if the game makes sense to see the Quest and PC versions, and then a tips and tricks video, pretty much all in the same week. So that's an example of what we wanted to be able to do content-wise, is to offer just more of a higher quality level. Also, Ryan and I, are working together to fine-tune formats for reviews in order to just make them just better, everything just better.
Yeah.
And that having two of us there really helps with that. So for those of you again just tuning in, the format for this first episode for Virtual Boys is probably an hour long, and we're gonna mix this up. We're gonna do kind of a bit of a Q&A for those of you who want to participate in that. Otherwise, Ryan and I are just going to talk about some of the changes that are going to be coming to the new channel. And then we also want to jump into the big VR news today, which would be the Meta Connect. So, and obviously like the Quest Pro and some games that were announced. So we'll get into that as well. But anyways, before we get into that stuff, we'll go back to the changes coming to the channel. Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking, Ryan, today I was thinking about this whole combining of you and I, which obviously started as a podcast. And I'd said to you that I definitely wouldn't want to join forces with just anybody or anybody for that matter. But the Virtual Boys podcast, I think, kind of gave us that kind of confirmation that this worked, and that we were very like-minded. For those of you who don't know, we live like 20, well, depends on how you drive, I guess.
20 minutes for him, 40
apart.
minutes for me, so figure out that math.
But what I was going to say was that I was thinking about kind of where this all started, and I think I've told you this before, Ryan, but if you guys go back into the archive of videos on either my channel or Ryan's channel,
if you actually go to the Virtual Boys channel, you can actually find the first time we played together. That will still be there until like tomorrow.
Oh, did you put it there? Yeah, Bravo team.
Yeah.
And I remember because we were in a Twitter group, and I didn't know where Ryan really lived yet. I just knew that I seemed to kind of enjoy him in the chat, and I was mentioned him as, hey, do you want to play Bravo team together? Let's multiplayer it. And in that video, though, you can hear just in the first like 20 minutes, we kind of hit the ground running, just nerding out on VR. And I actually made a comment to you in the first like 20 minutes. I said something along the lines of, we should think about doing a podcast or something.
Yeah, you totally did that. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure, buddy. We can like look into that. Like, I just kind of,
I
remember dismissively agreeing with that. I totally remember that. Like, okay, sure. Like,
yeah.
Well, at the time, I think at the time I was still doing the PSVR Live thing, wasn't I?
Yes, probably.
Yeah. So that was probably why I was dismissive, because time is precious, and 2 podcasts, insanity.
Yeah. And I was like, fuck, you gotta upgrade, buddy. No, Danthal, I love you. But anyways, so that was kind of the origin of how everything started here. I will also apologize to anyone, the crappy quality of the camera here. I don't even know how my audio sounds. Again,
the audio's okay. You sound okay to me.
Okay, good. So this is hotel internet, but
actually I'll cut you off right there. Guys in chat, we checked the audio levels beforehand, but let us know if Chris or myself is too quiet or too loud. I can adjust that, but it sounded okay when we started this, but you never know how these things are once they go live. So
yeah. Feel free to ask questions in chat, guys, if you because we are doing a bit of a Q&A here. And we're kind of, I guess it's kind of a trial run as well, as far as what moving forward, what a live Virtual Boys episode could be like. Ryan and I always kind of felt that it should be a podcast first. So upon re-listening, which a lot of people do in just the audio format, we wanted it to still play well and not just be us answering chat. So we will be cherry picking chat as it goes along, but probably doing a little bit more answering of chat today, just because I think there's a lot of changes happening on the
I
channel
think
front.
one of those things too we should mention too is like right now it's still Shuckhead Gaming. If you guys go into the channel right now, it still says Shuckhead Gaming all over it. We wanted to kind of give everyone a chance to adjust to the change, so we changed over some banner art. Some of the socials have been changed over a little bit here and there, but hopefully by the end of tomorrow, we should have everything changed over fully. So Shuckhead's channel will say the VR grid across everything. We just kind of didn't want any kind of mixed messages in regards to like notifications and whatnot, and confusion with like, why is Shuckhead Gaming telling me that the VR grid is live right now, and did that kind of stuff. So, like I said, by tomorrow, if not after that, everything should be on the same level. It'll all be the VR grid, and it'll all be under that banner, and that's the Virtual Boys and all of our content. I'm stoked, man. I'm stoked to be a duo doing this.
Yeah.
Like you said, being I've been doing this for 6 years. And it's a hobby. I'm not like, I've been doing this for 6 years. I'm like, it's not my job by any stretch, but, sharing the burden, and I'll call it that. It's not a burden. I'm just being dramatic, but it's nice to have, it is stress to, cover this stuff. I mean, even with the meta stuff coming today, they announced 2 games coming a week apart, and we know there's more games coming in November. It's just like, when things get busy in VR, it can be incredibly challenging to put out quality reviews and not just like spit out a 5-minute, I played this for an hour type live stream. And it's something that me and Chris both want to do, is put out quality reviews, playing through the entirety of a game before we put a review out, whenever possible, obviously. And that's something we both care about. Like, neither of us wants to put out, you can't play, Bone Lab would be a good example of that, where my review for that came late because I realized there was no way in the world anyone could properly review this game unless they played through it in its entirety. And you could see that. You could see when the game launched, there were only a handful of reviews out there, because I think people realized that, if they weren't reviews, sorry, I shouldn't say, there were only a handful of reviews because everyone out there was just like putting out their first impressions. I played for 3 hours and this is what I thought. I played for 5 hours. This is what I thought. And not to say that's not what we put out there, but our goal is to put out content you can rely on, and like reviews you can trust, right? Not just like throwaway thoughts that don't really, hate or love a game because they're too scared to piss off developers or publishers, which is something that we aren't afraid to do.
Yeah, we've definitely never been those people. And this goes back to my point of like, when I started the channel, I think both Ryan and I, we've talked about this in the past, wanted our channels to be able to grow with the idea that maybe this could be like kind of a, multifaceted kind of like one-stop like destination, like with a few extra people like helping out. And I mean, I know for a while there, you actually had some people, especially on the website side, that you were kind of had them, what is it, like
freelance. They're freelance.
There's the word. And I guess I never really had necessarily that kind of ambition, but I definitely was hoping to. In my head, I was always kind of like, I'd love to partner up with someone. But once I started to get into it, I got really set in my ways. Like, no, this is the quality bar, and this is and quality isn't like for, I guess, like the look and sound of it, but also more for the like from a I guess, what's the word? Words are failing me, but from a level of authenticity, and not being afraid to just like call out a game, for and not feeling like I always had to hype up and be really excited about a game for clicks, and just that attitude. I guess like I mean, you hear this all the time, but I started doing reviews, like written, scripted, like real reviews, because I wasn't seeing the content I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was your stuff, but I was like, yeah, I could do better.
I was so bad when I first started, and I did everything so ass backwards when I first started this, because like I said, I never wanted to be a streamer. My whole point, I started with a written form website, which was that's an old man way of thinking in the modern age. And then putting myself on camera, I was like, I don't want to be a personality. This isn't about me, it's about the game. So my reviews were very stale, and they still can come off that way even now, because I try to be analytical to a point where my personality gets sacrificed. But over the course of these last 6 years, I have learned that, like, not to say, the personality is what I bring to the table in regards to, It's why, it's why me and you got together with this podcast. Like, like you complete me, Chris. You complete me. But it's true. Like, so many people have told me that, like, like your personality is not in your reviews, and that's definitely something that we're trying to inject more of going forward in regards to my reviews. Not so much yours, just because you kind of have that flavored down a bit. But yeah, it's been growing and growth, and this is the next step. I'm not sure what else to say here. I kind of lost track, but I'm pumped. I'm pumped to be doing this with somebody else, especially you, Chris.
Well, yeah. And like I said, when we started doing Virtual Boys, I was like, there's no one else. Like, really, it was not only because I wanted someone that I trusted, but obviously a friendship there, and it was just the podcast was fun. Like, it was fun. Yeah. It was fun to be able to create something with someone and it was, I guess, for me, the real change of attitude came that when I had to, like, basically stop doing the channel for, what has it been, like 6 or 7 months, almost 8 months now, just because I was out of town and my scheduling was just brutal. When I thought about coming back to the channel, it was kind of like, I want to do this, but I want to take it to the next level. And I'm also cognizant of the fact that sometimes I will go out of town, or you might have to go out of town. And it was like, I guess those two things combined were kind of like, okay, this would be better if there was more of me, more of us. Sorry for the brightness. This stupid camera on the
It's
computer.
hilarious. It's like it keeps, like, flaring. It's actually pretty fun to watch.
It's
if like, what is this camera doing?
It's if I move. Yeah, see, and it's just like.
Anyways. There must be a way you can, like, turn that off. No, I'm not saying turn it off now, but
I'm not gonna mess with it. I'm not.
No, definitely not.
I said to Ryan, we were talking about today, we were like, oh, we should do this and we should do that. I was like, no, listen. I said to Ryan, I'm like, if we can get chat working and our audio levels working and we're live, we'll call that a win today.
And we literally had this, I had like a minute and a half, 2 minutes before we actually were good to go.
Like, we've never been live on Virtual Boys. So for those of you who are in the chat, like, thank you so much for being our guinea pigs.
But we are planning on doing this. The plan really is to kind of keep this a live podcast. One, because it lets us talk about things a little more quickly, and you get access to it a little more quickly. Because sometimes we used to record stuff on, like, a Thursday or Friday to be released on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So depending on what we're talking about, i.e. today we'll be talking about the Meta Connect show. That happened today. So you don't have to wait until Sunday to get our thoughts. And that's kind of the thing. And obviously it's like our thoughts, like, they matter, but hopefully our opinions actually matter, because I've got thoughts in the Meta showcase for sure, because I'm not sure how much more we're going to talk about ourselves, Chris.
I have way more to talk about for myself. It's my second favorite topic. No,
I'm getting pretty over it.
Okay. Oh man, you know what? I actually had something I actually genuinely wanted to talk about. One of the things you touched on is that, yes, guys, the idea was that we heard one of the pieces of feedback that we'd gotten over on the Virtual Boys channel was that a lot of people would like us to do it live so they could participate in the chat and just be a part of. And we definitely wanted that aspect. Within reason, like we said, we wanted this to be a podcast first, but sometimes, you guys had great input that it would have been really nice to be able to participate live and act on right in the conversation. And the idea is that we obviously wanted to be able to interact with the community a lot more. So live is where we want the show to go. This is definitely, today's episode is not necessarily the day or the time and not the quality, the end quality that we want. Like, again, I'm in a hotel room. We just wanted to really capitalize on the fact that there were questions about the channel changing and also the Meta Connect. And so it seemed like the time to just jump in and get in there. And thank you, Killer Tist, the Dreamweaver Game Cat. Oh, a Game Cat. Nice to see you in the chat there.
We want more of you in here.
Yes, thanks. Again, you guys are our guinea pigs, so love having you in here. Love the participation too. Again, let's just get some of the kinks out here as we kind of find a groove, because again, never done it live. It's usually just Ryan and I staring at each other, and we can edit out all the inappropriateness that happens.
Yeah, we have to. We're on our toes now. We can't be all like racist and stuff, right, Chris? That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a
I was
joke.
gonna say, Jesus. People can think there's just this like
I know. That's
filthy footage just sitting on on a hard drive somewhere.
Yeah, I have it there for blackmail purposes only.
Yeah, see there on my face, just blasted white again.
Ignore
anyway, what I did, I was gonna say something about the channel moving forward, and it's just gone. It's gone. But yeah,
I'll say this. I mean, like I said, we're in the growing pains stage of this channel, and like, obviously, me and Chris both have experience, but we have visions. But our visions are adaptable, so things will be changing over the course of the next few months. With the sole goal being that when the next big headset drops, not the Quest Pro, we'll be ready to handle that in the most professional way possible, if that makes sense. I think is kind of the goal. So, I mean, we have a current plan. We're not just like, making this up as we go, but we will be changing things up and making sure that we cover things the way you people want to see them covered.
Yes. And that was you reminded me where I wanted to go with this, talking about the fact that we definitely see the VR industry starting to it's going to get busy. Yeah. And we were talking about how difficult it has been in the past. I mean, we talk about it being a burden doing this on our own. I wouldn't call it a burden because we Ryan and I both do this because we love or are obsessed with VR, and we loved talking about it, and personally I love the creation of content. I loved the playing of the games, the editing, the writing of the scripts, and just creating content for people that were as excited about it as I was. But but when you've got multiple games coming out in the same week, and we both have like families and houses and jobs, that can be pretty brutal. And so I think and that's only going to get worse because with PSVR 2 not that far off, and Sony's going to start cranking games, and we've got Meta, and they're going to just keep getting busier, and that's a lot. And the fact is that with Ryan and I both being able to pump out content, the idea is that we potentially, at least our hope is that we'll be one of the most productive VR channels on YouTube. In the fact that we're not just like, we've got our own little company, our own little VR company. And if you guys didn't catch my video, the reason we went with the VR Grid is because I actually hate Shuckhead Gaming. As a name, it was literally Shuckhead Gaming. The way that started is I kind of wanted to do a channel. I didn't know how to start a channel, and then one day I just hit the broadcast button on the PSVR, and I remember just like standing there going, "Oh my god, I'm live!" I was like, and Shughead was just a nickname I'd always gone by for years, and I was like, "It's Shughead Gaming," and it kind of stuck. So it's nice to be able to I guess level up and kind of take that name on along with Ryan and see where we can go with this. So it's been really fun so far. And I mean, one of the reasons that we haven't changed all the branding over is I'm still not totally sure about this Ryan guy. And I want.
What do I go by?
I'm just saying, that's why we haven't switched all the branding over. I'm not quite sure yet. I still want to be able to back out.
You're just trying to take my name and kick me out? Hostile takeover?
Yeah. And anyways, I guess I think that kind of covers our blabbing about the channel changes. I mean, bottom line is over the next...
Stay tuned to this channel. This channel only. This is the only channel you need to care about. Not my channel. That one's done. Not Virtual Boy's not channel. Not anybody else's VR channel. I mean, I love those guys, but like this channel, this is the one you want to stick on.
Yeah, I mean, that's really at the end of the day, like Ryan said in his outtakes, it's not fucking rocket science. This is the channel. So Virtual Boys, that channel's going to go away. the VR Grid, the old VR Grid channel, that's basically going to go away as time goes on. It's just going to fade away as legacy content. And Shughead Gaming is going to be the VR Grid. So this is the channel. This is where everything will come from. Liv, nice to see you, buddy, in the chat there. Thanks for joining us as we do our first live chat here and broadcast of the Virtual Boys. So it'll be a little rough. But enough of the channel. And if you guys want to have questions about the channel, fire off below in the chat.
Yeah, we're live for this reason. We're live to be a little more interactive, especially this episode. We're looking definitely to talk to you guys. Future episodes, we'll see how that goes. I mean, I think we'll see how it goes. The whole point is to be interactive with you guys, whether it's during the episode or maybe at the end of the episode. Or if you guys actually say something like really poignant or something like that,
it'll probably be sporadically throughout I think the idea is that Ryan and Alice still have our conversation that we want our topic of conversation, or if there's a guest with us, but we want to bring chat into that selectively. So we want to find a balance of that. But today's episode is definitely much more of it's a little more loose.
Yes, we are loose.
But I guess let's move on to the topic at hand. Then let's get into some classic Virtual Boys here. Then MetaConnect.
MetaConnect. I mean, did you watch the whole thing or at least catch the highlights?
Let's say
it's long-winded. It's actually long-winded. It was
like an hour. The keynote was like an hour
and a half.
Minutes.
Yeah, and it's what it was last year, which is, I mean, they definitely stretch things out. I mean, it's just how their format is. Like, there's half an hour of news in there, but they just drag it out. And it's not like, it's just, and it's Zuckerberg. He's just so robotic. Okay. I don't even hate him. I don't even hate him.
It's actually say, you know what? I did watch, he was on Rogan a month ago, maybe now. And I don't know, like he came off more like a real person there, obviously, in the fact that it was like because of, I guess, the kind of the format. And I feel like Zuckerberg might have taken acting lessons.
For sure, human lessons. He's taking human lessons. Yes,
his human lessons. I felt like from what I saw of him in the show, he was way better. Like, like it didn't feel like it wasn't. I mean, these types of shows, whether they're on stage at E3 or whether they're these like pre-programmed things, and it's not like Sony's are better or anything. Nintendo's are not much better either because they're mostly dubbed, just because of the key players over at Nintendo. But my point is that I felt like he played it a little more legit this time. Like he was like when he was like, "Oh hey, yeah, how's it going?" Like I was like, "Hey, I kind of
it was like, "Oh hey, yes, how's it going?"
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, oh yes." It was a little bit more realistic.
Yeah.
He didn't. Yeah, like he actually made his co-hosts seem poor. Like they seemed robotic. I was like, "Look at you leading the team."
So I'm gonna kick this off right away. I was annoyed with it right away because he just started talking metaverse again. And when he first brought up meta and the metaverse, like the last keynote, like last year, the entire internet just became the metaverse and everything VR was the metaverse. And I couldn't help but feel, even though that's like their MO.
Oh,
I just feel like now again, like tomorrow, everything's gonna be metaverse all over again, even though people have like started calling metaverse the VR again. Now I'll be like, oh no, wait a second, it's the metaverse social app. It's the metaverse. And I'm like, I get it, but
Yeah, no, seriously, in the offices, if you probably just like listen really carefully, it's like, hey guys, anybody want to jump onto Rec? I mean the metaverse. See you in Horizons.
And that's a funny little side note here, is when they were plugging all the, the more people use social programs than they do VR games or whatever his statement was. But they actually started listing like rec rooms and VR like chat, and they actually mentioned like not just Horizons, which I was actually like, oh, look at you, Facebook. Like, you're actually like realizing that Horizon sucks and maybe people should find other social outlets to find your shit.
Yeah, I don't know what they're honestly. I I don't think they're going to give up on it, but at the same time, like I do feel like it's a bit like they're having a Google Plus moment.
Well, here, I'll put this on you right now. You'll see it in a second here, Chris. I'll go right to the, this is the PSVR World's Avatars 2.0.
Hey,
so this is Zuckerberg came
we're
out with
here
this
together
whole
in
avatar.
Horizon.
It's walking, it's
and
moving.
This is the first time
it looks
that we've
like
done
it's
this
like
at Connect.
being recorded, like
and
it's
this
tracking.
is a
I can't
preview
tell
of
if
our
it's
next
actually doing that or if
generation
this
of
is actually
avatars.
like pre-done footage.
They're
like
so much more
stylized to look.
expressive and
Like
detailed
it's,
than anything else today, and
like
they
a
have this
live
unique
avatar,
meta style
but
to them.
assuming
That's a lot
this
of work
is actually
to build
true, and
AI
this is
to
where the live
auto-generate
avatars
these
are
for
going
billions
with
of people,
worlds,
and then give everyone the tools to make sure
it's a
that
huge
your
step in the right
avatar
direction.
feels like your own.
Like it's a,
Oh,
it's
that
a
would
I'm
be
excited
amazing.
to start rolling
That'd be
these out
amazing.
later
They
next
even
year on
managed,
phones, VR headsets,
again, he was
and
on
more.
Rogan and he was talking about how
So,
he's been getting
while I'm
into
excited for this
like,
next generation of
martial arts and
avatars,
stuff, and you can
we
see
are also
that
seeing
he's
a
like
lot of
definitely getting a
developers
chest on
and
him, like in
partners
real life. And
building
I'm
great
noticing that
experiences
even
with our
there,
current
his avatars got his got his actual like kind of like fitness level in his chest and shit. Yeah, I mean, if I had to guess, I would say that's doctored. Like at least it's probably been fine tuned to make it look. Zuckerberg's audio.
I that's why I stopped it. I realized right away. But keep talking. I'll figure out how to get rid of that.
Again, guys, thank you for joining us. This is a necessary evil for us to want to be able to get a video out on the new channel and have a Virtual Boys podcast episode live, which is where we want it to head. But you guys are definitely guinea pigs for a lot of this. Also, I'm in a hotel room, and so that's just another variable that sucks because I'm not on my normal rig, and so that just brings other variables. So again, thank you for sticking by, and thank you very much for participating in chat and letting us know when things aren't working, because that's the only way we're really gonna know. I mean, we talked about Connected. The first thing we talked about was Zuckerberg, and
he's all over the thing. You kind of have to.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? He's no Steve Jobs as far as personality goes on camera and being like the head of a company, kind of getting out there. But he's probably the next best thing. Like I don't think he'll ever be there. He'll never have that charisma. But he's getting better. He's getting better. He didn't make me cringe as much this time. But I mean, let's just get into it. Let's just get to the thing that everyone wants to talk about, and that's the Quest Pro. And I mean, do you want to kick it off, or do you want me to start?
Okay, how about everyone give me 5 seconds before you talk about the Quest Pro, because I can't select the audio here yet. I'm just wondering if I turn it on. Let's see here, Quest Pro. All right, guys, sorry for 2 seconds.
Why don't you just shut the audio off entirely?
Because I couldn't do it until I selected the video. That's the dumb thing. So now we can talk. We're good. We're good. The Quest 2 Pro's playing. I know how to fix it going forward. Quest 2 Pro. I mean, this is the thing. I'm just going to go. This is the thing. Everyone knew it was coming. There were so many leaks about this damn thing. I mean, Facebook, Meta even leaked their own stuff like 2 days ago or yesterday. It's an absolute. It was the worst kept secret at this point. Even though everyone pretty much knew all the parts of it. Sadly, as Bradley like pretty much nailed everything, but they actually finally revealed it. It comes out October 25th. You can pre-order now if you want. For the lofty price of $1,500 US, which once again, everyone kind of expected somewhere in that range. It's actually a bit more expensive than I was thinking by like $300. I was kind of thinking maybe $1,200, but regardless, it doesn't really matter. It's high, but it's also not for gaming. And that's the one thing me and you both said repeatedly over and over and over whenever we talked about this thing. They've reiterated this thing is not for gaming. Obviously, it will enhance your Quest 2 experience, and the games will look better just because the resolution is jacked up and all that stuff. But the whole keynote, I mean, I don't even think they talked about gaming in regards to Quest Pro, unless it was using their the
pass-through.
Pass-through.
Because I would say that the big thing that I don't want to get too far ahead of, but the big thing that was obviously being pushed on the Pro was the augmented reality side of it.
And which did look slick.
It does look. I mean, it looks slick, and that's where a lot of the money is going. I mean, you see how many additional cameras are on the unit, and not including the ones that are on the controllers, right? And And so it's, that was really, the tech's impressive, and someone on Twitter yesterday said basically depending on how you're coming at VR and who you follow on VR, you're either going to be really hyped or really disappointed today. And I mean, there's no surprises. I mean, Meta was very clear, that this was going to be aimed at the business and the creative market. If you guys have followed the podcast, you know that I've said right from day one is Zuckerberg and the amount of money that Meta has thrown at VR and buying Oculus. I've always said gaming is just the Trojan horse. It's a way to make money now. It's a really good entrance point because for a lot of people that's just what makes sense now. But for Zuckerberg, it's all about business to business, virtual meetings, the metaverse, like people interacting. And so to me, I feel like this headset is everything that Zuckerberg, it's what he wants. It's where outside of gaming, it's what he's interested in. Because if you look at the thing, that's what it's all about. It's all about augmented reality and social interaction.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still the underlying thing that if he can get this to actually like be used in business the way he markets it to, that's huge, right? It's massive. And there was a story that recently came out where like Zuckerberg wanted to have a bunch of like Facebook meetings and stuff in Horizons, like, or the workplace, and like no one at like these Meta offices actually had like an active headset. They couldn't actually participate in these meetings because they'd never bothered to actually use the workplace app in VR the way it was supposed to, like, and as he had mandated. So it was an internal memo that basically like when they have to work on these projects for him, they call them like Zuck projects or something like that. Like it's basically like no one takes them seriously except for the fact that they have to take them seriously because it's like Zuckerberg's like mandate. But back to my original point, if he can get these things to be utilized in business to a point where it actually matters, where they are being used in business, that's huge. That it does make it makes everything look more viable. Like if everyone is using these things for everything, then I just don't think we're there yet. I think as much as he wants to push that you can, all meet together in your special little world and all be in VR and still talk, and the controllers he mentioned now you can use as like you can draw in thin air. You can attach like a stylus to it, kind of thing.
It has a stylus on the bottom of it, yeah.
Yeah. So it's got all these cool features. It's just a matter of like it's just adoption. Like it's just
You're right. It's an adoption thing, and the price is a barrier. Like I'm sorry, like we'll get into that. I guess the biggest thing is this is not a gamer's VR headset. Do I think it would be an awesome headset for gamers? Yeah, like it's cool. I mean, it's like we'll get into that. We'll get into the gaming side of things, but I think before we get into the gaming applications of it, the fact is that that's not its focus. And the more of the keynote that you take in, and I did watch quite a bit of it, and Jeeves in chat is starting to touch on some of these things.
He's going crazy. Jeeves is not
buddy.
happy.
Jeeves, we see you. and he's obviously he's along some of the same lines that I've taken away from this. One of the things that's very interesting, again, like I don't know if you watched enough of the keynote, so maybe I'll surprise you with some of these things, but like adoption, they're being smart about this because the idea is if you want this to be like adopted by businesses, because like where I see this being the most like viable is if like especially modern offices, like and with people wanting to work from home and you've got satellite offices and people working across the country, if you could get businesses to say, yeah, we'll buy 6 of those, and buy them for people, that's one thing. But to convince businesses, it's not just enough to be like, they can have virtual meetings and they can put virtual monitors up in their face.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not enough. And Meta knows that. And the one thing that, like, getting away from the gaming thing that, like, actually did kind of excite me is, did you see who they're collaborating with on this though? Adobe's on board. They're gonna have creative apps, like basically like almost like 3D rendering InDesign type Adobe apps, like launching in 2023 for like people to create in augmented reality and virtual spaces, 3D objects, like. And like, so the fact that Adobe's getting in on that, especially on, like, let's call it the ground floor kind of, is pretty huge. And then Microsoft, like, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, well, again, we'll get into the gaming thing because Game Pass is coming to the Quest for flat gamers, for flat gaming, at least for now. So that in itself is like, whoa, that's pretty cool. But I mean, that's really, I was like, what? Microsoft? It's like, this throws in a completely, like, this could be its own episode of what, because we've talked about Microsoft's, like, their move into VR.
Maybe. To me, I think
I
you're
know,
reading a little too much into that.
Well, so I'm saying no, but I'm just saying, like, we've talked about what Microsoft getting into VR could look like. And obviously they've had their hands in development of headsets like the HP Reverb, right? Like with being powered by Windows Mixed Reality. But the fact is, it's like, yeah, but Microsoft is getting involved with Meta, like, for a VR headset. Like, it's like, that's a collaboration that I sure didn't suspect would happen. I mean, a lot of people have said, not so much,
but like I said, but like even what you're talking about though, it's mostly just like letting you enjoy the Windows and your gaming experience like via like like it's like playing in theater mode. And it's just like they're just like, but
you're talking about for the games. You're talking about for the games.
Yeah, but what did they say?
I'm not talking games yet.
What did they say about they like Microsoft said more about them besides the games? I missed that then.
Well, yeah, because like they didn't even, most of the Microsoft stuff that I saw wasn't even the gaming side, because again, this is not a headset aimed at gamers, right?
Right.
The big thing, and the reason this is, I think, big for what Meta's trying to do is, Microsoft has had years of business development in trying to get into the business and the creator space with HoloLens.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a lot of people say, okay, so this is an upgraded HoloLens. It's like, well, yeah, kinda. Like, I think Microsoft almost kind of failed getting into that space with this very expensive piece of tech. But they've probably learned a lot, and they probably have a lot of connections in the business world. And Microsoft makes most of their money in business, like, in business applications. And so, like, if you're going to go after the business world, this is how you do it. You get Microsoft on board, like, I mean, like Microsoft, like Windows, and Word, and like, I'm just saying, like, these are staples of the business environment. Yeah. So if you're and they've had all these years developing HoloLens. So if you got that experience and you're now leveraging that into like Meta's really making themselves, being almost like a hardware and a social company, and they're bringing in the business side of it from Microsoft and Adobe, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing the game plan coming here. It's like you almost have so much muscle now. That's how you start to make businesses go, oh, okay, take it a little more seriously now. Like, it's like you're starting to have quite a few big minds in behind there, especially if you start getting into the benefits of augmented reality in like the business world. Beyond just, we put a keyboard on your desk, I can see my couch.
No, now the keyboard's in VR. Yeah, it's a virtual keyboard.
But it's funny. I'm not even going to get into that because I wanted to get into the gaming side of things. But it's definitely the big takeaway, no matter how you wanted to twist and turn it, is that this is not a gamer's headset.
No, I mean, that really is the bottom line of this. I mean, people who are expecting different, people who I'm sure even today and tomorrow, there'll be articles about why this is not worth buying and all these like hate articles about, Meta doesn't know what they're doing with this crazy expensive headset. Like, it's not for gaming. It's not for us. I mean, I won't buy one. Are you kidding me?
Okay,
I mean,
so
I would love to have one, but I can't justify that for.
That's the problem. It's the justification. I mean, for those of you guys, we're in Canada. In Canada, this thing is $2,300.
23.
It's $2,300 in Canada, and that doesn't even include. I don't know if you noticed, but it doesn't include the side skirts for blocking out light because it's
really?
completely open here, right? And that was done again for the idea that they said that a lot of people that were using this for business applications and like the augmented reality and the virtual meetings didn't like being blocked out. They wanted to be able to look down and see their keyboard. I was like, that makes a lot of sense. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, no. Like, it's the exact opposite of immersion that we're looking for. We're like, light leaking. And they're just like, have all the light. So it's an extra Canadian. It's an extra $80. If you want to add, the magnet,
oh my god,
it's $80 for the magnet. It's a magnetic little clip-in that blocks the light out, right? And I was like, I'm like, oh my god. I'm not gonna lie, I was hovering over the purchase button today.
Wow,
I know.
I support that.
I know you would. Yeah, it's like someone on this channel's got to have one. But I remember I was hovering over it. I'm hovering over it. I'm like, man, because I'll tell you my angle coming at it is that. And for those of you who didn't watch the Connect, I'll get into a brief rundown of like kind of the specs of this versus the Quest 2. But I'm hovering over the button and I'm like, man, because where I'm coming at it is I really still want a really good PC headset. A headset that's really easy to take on and off, that just like my Quest 2 is great and all, but I still feels a bit cheap. I've kind of Frankensteined it to death to try to get it to be what I want it to be, comfort-wise and balance-wise and earphone-wise and everything. I'd really like a premium option. I had an HP Reverb G2. I sold it because I just wasn't using it because Windows Mixed Reality sucks. So I was kind of like, maybe this would be a great way to go. And I was like, and then I could test out all the new tech that is probably going to show up, a lot of it in the Quest 3. But then I read one feature. It's not a feature. One of the specs. The battery life on this thing is 1 to 2 hours.
Oh shit, really?
It's a downgrade from the first one.
Wow.
Okay, Traveling Man says you get blinders in the box. I didn't see that when I looked at everything that came in the box. I hope you're right. But I looked at the
hours, man, that's crazy.
Because it comes with a cradle charger, right? Which is cool.
Yeah.
It's a quick charge too, and it charges the controllers as well. I'm really hoping they keep that with the Quest 3, though they probably won't. Because obviously that Quest 3 is going to come in at like, again, third of the price. So they're going to cherry pick some of these features, I'm sure. But going to the specs, right? Again, like for those of you who are wondering, is this going to play better games? No. Not really. Could it? Yes. Like, you look at it, I'm like, this could, like, it's definitely got a lot more. It's got twice the RAM in it.
And the new chip.
It's got a faster chipset. It's got twice the RAM though, which is the big thing. It's got, much better lenses. Like the Quest 2 cheaped out with the LCD display. This has got the new Fresnel pancake lenses and everything, so it's super thin. The field of view is supposed to be 106 degrees, which is a bit of an odd one, because the PSVR 2 is 110, and and like 114, I believe, is the index. Don't quote me on that.
No, it's higher than that. I think
it's 120. Maybe it's 120. 114 might have been the HP Reverb. That might be where I'm getting that from. I haven't looked at the specs in a bit, but. Yeah, VR Demon, Valve, that's a big one. Valve's a big one, and that's kind of why I didn't buy it. I was like, without tax, without shipping, without blinders.
But you could get on the Vario bandwagon at that price point. Like that's how much that is.
Canadian Vario is probably still
10 grand.
In the 4. Yeah. Well, even the 30, it's like 3,500 American, right? So it's probably over 4. The thing that was appealing to me about buying a high-end Oculus device is just being able to use that Oculus ecosystem on and just be able to like put the headset on and just works with everything in my PC. It works with like the Oculus app works with the Steam VR. I don't have to worry about it. But
you know for sure you'd have problems, right? Like you know for sure it would not work.
I know.
Like, especially with you on top of it too.
Shush. Hey, most of the problems I had with the HP Reverb is because Steam VR just like derped out and doubled the resolution that it was trying to render it.
Yeah, I think the Quest Pro would have as many issues, man. People have problems with the Quest 2. Quest 2 is still like dicey depending upon the day with their software and whatnot. Like I don't expect Quest 2 out of the box to be the
no, but it's
gaming.
the best. It's probably the best you're gonna get. I mean, that's I'm
on
not gonna
paper.
lie.
I think on paper, yes.
No,
I think in practice,
it still works pretty well.
We'll find out. I mean, we'll find out.
I mean, it's still my daily driver for a reason. It's why I got rid of the HP Reverb. I mean, the big thing is when it comes to having a really great daily driver on the PC, I still use my Quest 2 regularly. The Valve would be awesome because it would be awesome to just take out Oculus and just have the Steam headset. You know what I mean?
I'm still holding out for
like
PSVR 2 working with the PC.
And that was I was gonna say. I'm still, man, fingers crossed. I'm hoping Sony officially supports it because it would just be easier. But
I've got a hell of a segue here.
Hang on. That being said, the way the modding community is going about with games, it might almost be better if Sony doesn't support it and the modding community can just virtual desktop that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I think that's what will happen regardless. But I mean, do you have anything else you want to say about the headset? I kind of want to like as far as the actual specs and stuff goes, like.
Let me see what I didn't cover the specs. I mean, like I said, it is more powerful. It's got more RAM, but the fact is that like they've made it very clear that the Quest 2 is still like the flagship basically title, like as far as gaming goes, and that everything everything's going to have to work on the Quest 2. And I mean, could this potentially end up in a situation like the Quest and Quest 1, Quest and Quest 2, where like there might be Quest Pro support? Maybe.
I think only for mixed stuff. I don't think it'll be.
Well, they've made some comments about the fact that maybe possibly. I mean, we did see that Resolution Games was announcing an augmented reality FPS shooter that is going to run on the Quest 2 and the Pro, but like it totally should not be played on the Quest 2 because it's using all the pass-through. That's you're running around your house as a first-person shooter with like people in your space, and I feel like it's a little gimmicky at best, and in black and white, it's going to be like in a bad horror movie from the 50s.
Good.
Sorry, this is the problem. I'm getting caught up in chat. Thank you, Jeff K. But anyways, so it's one of those things where it's like, here's the thing. I don't expect there to be a lot of like pro support for games. Yeah, because I don't see a lot of gamers buying this. Not your average. Like, we're enthusiasts, and both of us are like, I mean, I think you wrote it off. At least I hovered over the purchase button. But like I said, back to the specs thing. The thing that killed it the most for me is that battery life, because even with the Quest 2, that lasts like say 3 hours. I'm plugged into the PC. It slows the drain, but it can't keep up charging wise. And there's been a lot of times where I've been in long play sessions. Like I guess most recently it would have been like a Demio and After the Fall. I was playing with some guys.
It's always Demio, man.
And it's like yeah, exactly. And After the Fall too, I was like, fuck, guys, I gotta go. Like I gotta charge.
Yeah.
Like it's just I can't hold on any longer. And because I'm tethered, I can't plug a charger in. And yeah, I could do virtual desktop or VR or Link, but I don't find that those are reliable enough for me. It still just pisses me off.
I absolutely love the Bobo VR battery. Like it snaps on and it's an extra, like it doubles the battery life. It's fantastic.
Okay, so that snaps on. That's sick. Does that mean you can still plug in?
It's a magnet. No, because this plugs into the side here. Now I'm trying. Now we're gonna show you.
Okay, so you can't tether though. Then
you can't. Well, you can't tether. You have to play through virtual desktop.
Yeah, that's bull. Yeah,
or
see,
whatever.
No.
Look,
this is the problem. I know, but this is the problem. When I saw that Quest Pro was like 1 to 2 hours, I'm like, Oh my God. If they're offering up 1 to 2 hours, that means it's like 45
Yeah,
minutes.
right. Second you get a game going, you just hear the whir, just starts like PS4 proing on your head.
Yeah, like the fact that they it has a quick charge station, and they mentioned that in the Connect, right? It was like, oh yeah, he's like, so it's just ready to go anytime you want to throw it on your head. It's like it's like designed for like small hops into meetings,
Yeah.
out of meetings, into like a rendering session, out of a rendering session. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I'm gonna go play a game for 4 hours. It's just not. It's just not that headset. And of course, the third parties are gonna like come out and probably support this like crazy. But even then, I don't think we're gonna see a
I don't
ton
know.
of the third party support because I just don't
Unless
think
unless sales are way higher than anyone expects them to be, I don't expect
from the
very much
business
third
side.
party stuff. Yeah, I don't expect anything at
Yeah.
all in regards to third party stuff because I mean, who the heck's gonna buy who's your market? Like you can afford to make battery packs for a headset that there's just none on the market. It just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, it just depends on the business side of things. I mean, it sounds like Meta, a lot of this is just getting technology out there into people's hands, into businesses' hands, and then kind of seeing how that lies. It almost feels like a little bit of spaghetti against a wall as a high-end headset. I mean, they made it very clear that they want to have a high-end headset line and then like the standard line.
Yeah,
You could
which is
call it a
what
low-end
Pico's
line if
doing
you
the
want.
same thing, and I wouldn't expect. I mean, I'm still predicting a PSVR 2 Pro headset down the line. So I mean,
Wireless. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I have no idea if that's going to happen or not. But like I said, it does seem to be, like I said, Pico's doing the same thing. I could totally see Valve doing something similar where they do have like a low rent, an
Well,
entry level
yeah,
headset, and then something higher.
but what's different is that like when Sony has done it or Microsoft has done it with their consoles, or even like Nintendo and stuff, it's always been like mid generation steps. Like it's like, oh, it's a little more powerful,
Yeah.
or it's a little higher resolution, but this like the Quest Pro is a completely different tier of headset. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just it's not like just a more comfortable Quest 2 with a better battery life. In fact, it's worse battery life.
No, I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see how it's received over the coming months. Really, to see kind of how it's used. Because, like I said, right now it's not for us. It's not for us, and not it's just that simple. But that being said, how this thing is used, what apps do come out for this thing, maybe it's not for us now, but a year from now when the Quest 3 comes out and now it has the same features or whatever comes out that
Well,
has
that's
the same
the thing,
features,
right?
right?
I think like that they've straight up said that some of this tech will make it into the Quest 3. I think we'll see full color pass through, maybe not maybe not at the same like number of cameras or resolution, but full color pass through. I could see eye tracking, probably face tracking, just because they'll want the masses to have face tracking in like VR chat and Horizon and stuff like that, and eye tracking for just being more economical when it comes to the horsepower of the headset with games. And they did say that eye tracking may show up in some future games. So again, that would be the pro support. But again, I still think that's going to be a bit few and far between, just because of who's buying this headset or who's not buying this headset.
All right. Okay, now my segue is totally mistimed because we talked way too much. But
You go
speaking of
ahead.
Sony, I'm transitioning to games here. I'm just gonna like totally.
Okay, we're going into gaming.
Gaming, sweet. Okay, shut for a second because I have to shut this up. All right, now we can talk. Yeah. Speaking of Sony, Iron Man VR was announced for the Quest 2, which was a huge shock, especially considering that I shouldn't say considering, but Meta also bought Camouflage, which was a surprise as well. But yeah, Iron Man is coming to Quest, which is I think I'm less surprised it can run it than I would have been like even just a few months ago. And obviously, I'm sure there'll still be some downgrades from the PSVR version. But that being said, the biggest complaints about Iron Man VR was the fact it's 180 tracking. And even though they did some magic to make it not 180 tracking, the fact you turned around and there was like giant arrows telling you to turn back the right way, it doesn't really, it's like you can go 360, but if you turn around, prompts yell at you. That's not immersion. So the idea with the Quest that you can actually, turn around 360 degrees and not have anything yelling at you to turn around, it's pretty slick. I actually am looking forward to revisiting Iron Man in VR for the Quest 2. Hopefully it holds up in regards to performance.
It'll be fun. I think it'll hold up better than we might think it was, because one of my complaints with Iron Man VR was that most of the environments were like very flat and just kind of almost felt like matte paintings, like backdrops, with like, say, like, the island levels in the beginning were, I thought, some of the most impressive.
Yep.
But for a lot of them, like where you were like up high, like especially like with the airship, like there's the airship and then everything around you is just distance.
A void. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
And then when like in the scenes in the beginning, again, one of the most impressive ones where you were like flying around the airplane, like it was amazing what you were interacting with and coming around the plane, but everything outside the plane, it's just like I could see how they could get pretty creative with making giving you that the impression of distance with not really it actually being that demanding. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, I can't say I guess I was surprised only because I kind of had the impression that camouflage was a Sony thing. Not that's I didn't know.
And that's they said thanks to camouflage, whoever, and Sony. They actually thanked Sony so obviously there's a deal. Like, to me, it's the second they thanked Sony for this was like, ooh, what did Sony get? That's the first thing I thought of. Because
good point. Yeah.
To me, the Oculus and Sony seem to be playing pretty well together. So maybe
they need to, and we've talked about that before. This is not the time. I mean, obviously, some exclusives, like it's like the space race. You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't have gotten to the moon if there wasn't that competitive advantage. But at the same time, it's like you need the International Space Station. Like, we got to work together to accomplish some of the heavy lifting, especially when you're still in such a growth stage. I mean, the thing that first popped out in my head when you just said, what did Sony get, is I pop one.
Which I was just going to say, next they announced their sandbox mode as well. I just want to quickly mention that Iron Man is coming in like 3 weeks, like November 3rd, which is also a pretty crazy announcement. And no price yet, though I imagine it'd still be in that $30-$40 range. Just
I would think so.
Like it was on Sony.
Marvel. Now, but you said that like Oculus, I'll never be able to get that in my head. That Meta they bought camouflage.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Again, man, they're buying them up. And so that, as much as that sucks for Sony, they
bought three studios. They bought these guys, Armature, or the guys that ported RE4 to VR, and they bought I can't remember the third studio offhand. They haven't made anything VR yet, but they made a bunch of like indie stuff that was popular. So yeah, 3 studios were once again now under the Meta banner. So
like part of me is like, it would suck to be a one headset guy. Like it would suck to be a PlayStation, just only a PSVR, only have a PSVR 2, because there's going to be some big games that you're not going to get. You're not going to get them because Oculus is buying up like crazy. Meta, whatever. But at the same time, Sony's going to have to get their shit together. Like, they're going to have to either buy up new studios or make new studios. I mean, that's the thing. Sony is the exclusive king as far as making quality crap. I'm just saying, as much as it might suck in the short term, because there's certain games that people on one headset may just not get, at the end of the day, it just starts the flames.
Yeah.
And so I like to see that. I'm just wouldn't, as a fan of VR, I wouldn't want to just have one headset. I'd want to be able to play in multiple arenas. And that's how I felt with consoles too. I just didn't want to just have a PlayStation. I needed to have an Xbox, or I needed to have a Switch. Like I still wanted to play Mario. Anyways, it just wasn't. There weren't a lot of big game announcements, like you said. There was Among Us that we haven't really talked about. That got a release date, which
November 10th. I think it was 10th was the release date, and it's like $15 or like $9 US, whatever it works out for being Canada. So it's a cheapy game, which I think is also awesome that they weren't like trying to, because the base game is like $6 on Switch and then whatever else. So it's more expensive in VR, but I think it's a VR game that could be very, very much like Werewolves Within in regards to like, who's the aliens. I don't even know the terminology for this.
It's I haven't played the game.
Once I was successful once, I was like, all right, I'm done.
But I would say it's Werewolves Within on crack. Yeah.
Yeah. And
like
I think that'll be good.
It'll definitely, especially in VR, I think there's going to be a lot of drunken high shenanigans.
No,
happening.
Unfortunately, it's going to be kids. That's the one killer with this thing is whenever I go in multiplayer
Not
games,
late at night though.
It's kid, man. Maybe.
It'll definitely attract. It'll definitely attract that.
Man, it's going to be bad in there. Like there needs to be like set room to 18 and verify age of accounts. I know I think
they need to get there. I mean, when we had Eric for president on here and he was talking about how one of his concerns is that like these VR social apps like Rec Room and VR Chat and such, they're growing so much in popularity and they're not keeping pace with like security as far as to protect kids and women and just harassment and just all of that. And he's just concerned that they're not having those conversations, now. They're being very reactionary. And one of those things is I think that they need to start to somehow age verify within reason. I mean, part of the greatness of VR is that you're not locked in by ageism. But at the same time, what if you want to play with adults only? Or if you're a kid, you don't want some like 40-year-old dude.
What if I want to play with kids only? I mean, I should have the option.
Okay. I feel like that's another conversation, Ryan.
But yeah, Among Us. I'm not like jacked for this game, but I'm actually excited to see if VR can do it justice.
It's the same thing. I think it can. I think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be one of those things. Once you play it in VR, it's the only way you'll ever want to play. It's gonna make it look like shit otherwise. But I feel the same way about Among Us as I said before. I'm really happy for VR, but it's not going to be something I'm going to be spending a lot of time in.
Yeah, I agree. And then so they mentioned, they didn't show anything. They mentioned Pop One's new sandbox mode where you can make levels
that
for
could
yourself.
Be awesome.
Yeah, I'm not a big Pop One guy, so I can't really talk too much about it.
I really like Pop One. I haven't played a ton of it just because, I have so many games and such. But I do love Pop One, and the opening that up to user created content is going to be magic. Some people are going to make some amazing
for sure.
stuff.
No, I'm sure that's good.
And if they're smart, and the big thing will be is they can curate that so that it's easy to find the best maps. Because they talk about, you can make your maps and play with your friends. I'm like, okay, but how do we get like a battle royale mode on some of the top maps? And that's where it'll come down to. Hopefully they can curate that and let the cream rise to the top and promote that, like it just, so it doesn't just become like just a bunch of mods.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that they're going to be on top of that. And yeah, I think that's going to be awesome, which is why I hope PSVR gets in on that. PSVR 2. I just think the Pop One would be, again, that's one of those games where it's multiplayer, so it's like more is better.
Well, especially as a launch title, and this is definitely a topic for a different episode. But I mean, Pop One as a launch title for PSVR 2 would make so much sense. Not only just for Sony, but even bringing in that all those people would just not to say revitalize the game because it's still one of those popular ones out there, but would definitely bring a lot of attention to the fact that it's playable on Quest 2, not Quest 1 right away here. That's dead.
Well, you're right. They're going to lose that player base to a certain degree. It also it's just a win-win for everybody because then you just get a lot of guys, in the Quest environment that are going to be like, hey, PSVR 2 guys. Like, it's like, oh, like, I don't know. It's just like I gravitate towards that happy family. Like, I just love when multiple headsets can come together and play together. And so I just feel like Pop One would be one of those games that would just be great. Jeeves talks about dreams for PSVR 2. I think
I was just going to comment on that. Last I heard, there is no plans for a PSVR 2 or a PS5 version of Dreams, which means there's no PSVR 2 version of Dreams.
Yeah, I gotta say it. I don't think Dreams has done super well for Media Molecule as well as they thought it would. I think the problem that they ran into with that was that they really needed to allow people to export their creations somehow so that they could monetize them. I think that was one of the biggest problems because people realized the amount of time and the teams that were getting together to create stuff was really cool from a look what we can do standpoint. But I think it spurred a lot of people to just go make games in Unity and stuff like that. I could be talking about my butt a little bit, but
yeah, I know much more than that, but I heard that there's no plans for a PS5 version, which to me is there's no plans for a PS5.
But it's gone very quiet. Dreams, you know what I mean? That's why I'm basing that off of it. Did definitely get quiet, unfortunately, because it's the capabilities on that are unbelievable. Or they just, I mean, who knows? It might just be the fact that it's like the vision for Dreams, the PS4 and the Pro, and just backwards compatibility executes that vision entirely based on the engine and like what the graphics it can actually create based on like the the sprites and stuff that they've chosen to use there. And that might just be for them, just be like, it's done. It's done. It's like there's no reason, there's nothing we could add really to the PS5, although I think bigger worlds would be the biggest thing, but maybe that's just not worth it based on how it's been doing. But yeah, I mean, games were not a focus today.
No, so the next one was Saints and Sinners, and the biggest thing with that was that we got the December 1st release date. I'm assuming that's across all headsets. They didn't specify, obviously, but I'm assuming that it is. And I honestly, I kind of want to see what this game thing looks like on the Quest, because everything they show is always PC footage, or maybe it's PS5 footage. I doubt that, but I want to see what the Quest version looks like, because I mean, that's what they're hyping this thing for. I mean, this is coming to Quest December 1st, Quest 2 December 1st, but it's clearly like high-end PC footage in the trailer, and I get it, but I really would like to see some
I bet
Quest
you
footage.
it's going to be a nice step up, I bet, from the Quest 1.
I would assume so too.
Because now they're not, it's Quest 2 only, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not, and so they're not being held back with that. Plus, they probably learned how to squeeze more out of the thing. So I bet you it's going to look pretty good. I hate to say this, but I have a feeling the PSVR version is probably going to be the ugliest of all of them. It might have a few special effects that the Quest 2 version doesn't have, but I feel like the clarity on the Quest 2 is going to be there. Regardless, I think we know it's going to be awesome across the board. I think a lot of PSVR guys are just going to wait for PSVR 2. I would.
I mean, I don't...
Because I'd want to experience it.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, it's tough. The PSVR is so tough. We're off topic now. I guess we're winding this thing down here. I guess, it's just PSVR is tough, man. I mean, like, the tracking sucks. Like, everything about it sucks now. And it's just sad to say, but it does. Especially, obviously, I'm coming from the fact that I do have a gaming PC. But even playing on the Quest, like, there's just that, like, the tracking makes immersion better. When you're not fucking with lights and making sure your camera's okay, and like, like the pains that we went through with PSVR were fine when PSVR was kind of the only option for us. But even with the Quest, and like I said, if you're a PSVR guy, I'm not trying to shit on you by any stretch. I get it. Like,
oh, dude, I fought hard for the PSVR for all those years. I championed that shit. I was like, fuck you, PC guys. Like, it's like, this is where all the numbers are. This is where the gamers are. I don't disagree with that still. But the fact is that it got harder when you started to, once you didn't have to fight.
Look, my PSVR doesn't get played very much anymore, obviously. I played Cave Digger 2. I didn't get a chance to review it. The game was fine. I had no problem with the game. It's a bigger, better version of the first game in every way that matters. But I fought with the tracking in that thing. Like, it was instantly infuriating again. Like, I couldn't, like, make sure you stay rooted, Ryan. Don't turn with your body or you're going to lose tracking. And just like, it was just like, all these things I was like cool with are just, PSVR 2 is so bad.
But the games of like the fact that like all of our reviews, we had to include how the tracking was because it was such a wild west as far as how it was implemented. Some companies could create magic with it. Yeah. And it was like, I don't know how it didn't lose tracking. And then other ones are like, you moved your head. Blah!
Yeah, yeah.
It's like grids everywhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're at an hour and 15 minutes, and I don't want to shut this down without talking about the announcement of Game Pass coming to the Quest. And like, it's not VR yet. And I even saw an article that said that it's like basically Microsoft is bringing its cloud gaming app to the Quest. It's like, but it's not. There's no VR titles yet. And it's like, this is where I talk about the fact that Microsoft, it's like, but they're starting to get in bed with a VR headset, and it's like, so it makes them dipping their toe into VR much more viable down the road. But before we even get to that, I have to admit, a couple months ago, doing all this hotel living, I actually had my Quest 2 with me one day, and I was like, man, can I play Game Pass on this? Like, I actually started doing research. I'm like, is there any way I can do this? Can I stream it from my phone? Can I just play it off of the web? Because it's like, what? Like, it's just, why can't I? Can I just stream it? And the answer was no. But I was like,
that used to be on the Rift. You could do that on the Rift. Because I did it. I actually streamed Gears of War.
Probably through with your PC though, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
So almost like a virtual desktop thing. And it's like,
Salvador, you kick ass, by the way. Thank you very much.
Oh, dude, Salvador. Thank you very much, man. That's our first tip. It's our first tip.
It's
dude.
Pee-wee's Playhouse when they say the word. Ah!
Oh God, you're dating yourself, dude.
Oh, I'm old. Don't worry, I'm old.
But obviously, cloud gaming is where it's going. As much as that, I feel like people need to tread lightly into that territory, but especially for VR with the demands on it. But the bottom line is the idea that I could just like for even it's just a value add too. If you have a Game Pass, and now you can play it on like a movie theater size screen on your Quest.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. No, I did that with the Rift, and obviously that's through PC. And I mean, the drop in resolution from a HD television to the Rift was still noticeable. It was cool. I could resize the screen, do all the things you would with like a playing on like a flat screen in there. It was cool, but it definitely felt limiting. That being said, like you said, with the jacked up resolution of these headsets, where that will be less and less of an issue, I'm totally down. I mean, I have Game Pass, and if I could just, like I said, turn on my Quest and just start playing my Game Pass, that's pretty awesome.
It's just a value add for everybody. Like, it's like, I mean, it's kind of a win-win. It's just like another place for Microsoft to put their Game Pass for world domination. And it's like, although I'm like, oh my God, Microsoft's going to own everything. But at the same time, it's just, that's sweet. Sweet. I mean, how can you complain about that? It's just like, if you're just, and it does make sense when you look at, say, the Quest Pro, because it does look like it's really comfortable. Haven't tried it yet, but it looks like it's got like a bunch of. They show how like.
Oh, they showed that like material. Yeah.
I saw that. I was like, ooh. And just like the fact that the battery's on the back, so it's got the balanced weight. It just looks like a very comfortable headset, and it looks like it's just designed just like. Whoop. Even the fact that you could like see your environment. So you're not locked in the headset. It just lends itself to casual gaming.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, going back to where we started this. I mean, the Quest Pro, it's not for us now, but it's the future, guys. And 3 years from now, like what the Quest Pro offers now is going to be the norm. Like it's coming quick.
And this might be a great way to like wrap up at least our first episode on this topic. I have to say though, is almost why I bought one today. Almost, because just what you said there, damn it, you almost making me want to go back and hover over that purchase button again, because the fact is that a lot of the tech in this thing is like the future of mainstream consumer VR. And I almost kind of like want to be able to like play with it and just be like, oh, like look at this AR, look at these, like it has HD rumble basically, for lack of a better word, and the controllers, like it has much better like haptics in it for rumbles. And it's like, and it's just looks like the controllers are just a lot more high tech, and eye tracking and face tracking, and the difference like with the battery placement and all the augmented reality stuff. It's just like really cool shit to play with. At the end of the day, though, I just want to play games, and
just Quest Pro gathering dust in Chris's corner 1 month after he purchases it.
Well, here's my problem. No, but my concern is that as soon as, say, like PSVR 2 comes out, yes, especially if it plays on the PC.
Yeah, maybe wait for 6 months. The Quest Pro will go on sale, and by that time, the PSVR 2 will come out, and then you can actually see if your little like buyer's remorse or non-buyer's remorse kicks in, because I think you'll be okay. I think you're okay.
Sad thing is the Quest Pro could go 40% off, and then it would be the price of the American price for us Canadians. Can you imagine being in Australia right now? It's like $1,600 with the new heads. $16,000.
$16,000. Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, I think we're kind of wrapping this thing up here. I guess I'll open up the chat before we shut this thing down. If you guys have any questions or anything you want to like bring up quickly, we can shut down. But
well, this is one that that Jeeves asked. He asked if the Quest has head tracking. Yeah, absolutely. It's all cameras. The Quest 1, the Quest 2, and the Quest Pro, they call it inside-out tracking. So it's the cameras read your room. So for example,
they're even working on body tracking using just those cameras too.
I know
right?
they are. Yeah.
So, and that's on the Quest 2, not even the Quest Pro. So like they're working on.
So it's not just head tracking; it's body tracking. But like basically, you put on a headset. Like if I'm down in say like my playing space at home, or I even go upstairs, if I've been in that room before, it's a little hit or miss, but the Quest is supposed to recognize the room, and often it does, and it'll throw the grid right back up where you had it before.
Yep.
And and then it knows that space, and so yeah, it does a pretty good job. And it has some like smart algorithms to try to like know where the controllers are, because obviously it still needs to see the controllers. So when you go behind your head or in close, sometimes it can have issues. But then the Quest Pro has gotten rid of that because there's cameras on the controllers now. Like Zuckerberg said that they're pretty much their own little computers now, with the guts that are in them. That's the one thing you didn't talk about. What's the battery life on those new controllers there, Mark?
Longer than the headset, probably. So
hopefully 1 to 2 hours. Oh my God. That means if you like booted up some high demanding game, like say you wanted to go play Medal of Honor, half an hour, and you're looking to quick charge. 1,600 didgeridoos. Yep.
But
I love it.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for those of you who have tuned in and stuck around. Big thanks to Salvador. The tip is very much appreciated.
Big thanks to all of our. We didn't thank our Patreons either. You guys have been like, thank you so much for just riding us through, staying with us through the last 2 months as
Salvador,
we've totally fallen apart here. But yeah, guys, we are back, and this is just the first video in what is going to be hopefully many, many, many more videos in the coming months and years. And we want to see you guys along for the ride. So yeah, this is just the start for us. Tons of fun. Ryan and I are really excited. We've got a lot of ideas for things we want to do. We almost had to start pumping the brakes and stuff. Okay, let's just get the channel moving forward, get things shut down, get the review train running, start to get some new content, and get the Virtual Boys podcast back up and running on a more regular schedule, especially with both of us being back in town soon for me. And those are the priorities right now, but we've got a lot of ideas. So, and we're open to ideas now that there's 2 of us, and we're trying to kind of like rebuild or build our new VR gaming empire. So feel free to comment, guys, with things that you'd like to see. That's another reason why we wanted to do these shows live, is because we wanted to be able to interact a lot more with you guys and have a little bit more of a community atmosphere for us 2 anti-socials. So Viper Al, yes or no? I say yes to that question. Chris, if you had the money right now, would you buy a Quest 2 headset? Yes or no? That's it. You have $2,300 just sitting there. Would
no.
you buy it? All right.
Because I did. I was hovering it. I was looking at it. And I'll tell you, Viper, the biggest thing for me is this is here it comes down to. The augmented reality stuff and all the nifty things it can do for business applications and everything is cool. But once I play with it and show it to people, I probably won't use it, because it's just not why IVR typically. And I don't care about it as a standalone headset, not really, because I'll only play standalone VR if it's my only option. Otherwise, I'll usually play it on PC or the PSVR 2 as it comes out, just because I just want the higher end graphics. So standalone's not my preferred way of playing. So I'm not buying the headset for standalone. So the reason I was looking at it for really is where I would actually long term play it is as a really solid PC daily driver. And that 1 to 2 hour battery life killed it for me, honestly.
Very good. Shut up, Chris.
Fuck you.
We already heard your stupid rant about this thing. We get it. I have the money.
You
I'm
asked
too
the
rich.
question.
I just don't want
answered
to.
it.
I
You
said
said-
yes or no. I said yes or no. That's it. And you proceeded
set
to
the
say,
limitations. You set the limitations.
yeah, because I didn't want to hear you talk about it all over again. You didn't
But
already
I
said
could
all this
tell-
stuff.
But I could tell that Viper wanted a better answer than that.
You're welcome, Viper. That was punishing.
Demon, we are going to do some co-op streaming together. That is definitely some fun stuff that we want to get into. There's, like I said, let's just say I have some ideas of some really fun VR co-op compilations, because believe it or not, I actually find Ryan incredibly entertaining to hang out with. So it'll be fun to play with. Yeah, I mean, that's how our relationship started. So we'll keep that train going.
But
Guys,
yeah, once again, guys, yeah, thank you so much for tuning into this thing. Like I said, this is the first episode. Hopefully we can fine tune this. But actually, this actually went pretty smooth, all things considered. And this will be better. Like I said, Chris will be back in town soon, so he won't look quite as trashy on his camera like he does today. And we're gonna be higher quality, better formats, and blah 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 blah. It's all gonna get better from here.
Everything. It's only gonna go up from here. So stay tuned. We'll one of the first reviews on the channel will be a review from Ryan. Actually, he's bringing over his NFL. The heck was it called?
NFL Pro Era.
Yeah, I thought it was Pro Era. And then I was like, is it Pro, or am I just thinking Pro in my head now? Yeah. So that'll be coming soon, and I got some stuff coming for you guys too. So the train is getting going, and we're so happy to have you guys on board for it. So until then, guys, catch you on the next episode.
Later, all.